Right, I want to welcome you all to Inventor 101. Let's share the screen. This was just a Google search for Fusion 360 for beginners. So we're going to get on to Fusion in a moment, but I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that you can go to Robot Science website. It's my old website. We're going to use this website temporarily to host resources. And if you scroll down here, you'll see there's Robotics 101. Next session is 22nd of July, and then this is today, Inventor 101. And if you click on either of these, it takes you through to this page. You'll see this is a video from yesterday's session. And basically, we had a look at the machine learning robot. And if you click on this course notes and teaching resources, you'll see the videos repeated there. You've got the SAF Eagles Parabolics Handbook, if you want a copy of that. It's quite a nice thing. It's like a short course. And then we've got our first Zoom session here. Then Zoom session 2, that was yesterday, where we spoke about machine learning. We looked at battery test. And then today we are here. Now, what you'll notice is there's nothing up there yet. These notes will be put up there tonight or tomorrow morning, but yesterday's stuff is already there. So I think where folks have a shortage of data, you can download the video for your friends and help them out if they're struggling. Go to Autodesk. So if you look at what's coming up on your screen here, you'll see www.autodesk.com products Fusion 360 personal. This is where you can basically organize yourself a license for Fusion. I did this some while ago, but I helped some folks through the other day. If you are a bona fide student at a tertiary institution that's registered with Fusion, with Autodesk, you can go the student or educator license where you can get access to Fusion for free. But if you're not, if you're a scholar or you're not a bona fide student, you can use Fusion as a hobbyist. You've just got to look around here until you find the personal use version. So if you do a Google search and you type in there Autodesk Fusion 360 personal use, it should normally just dump you straight onto this page. You scroll down to the bottom over here. This is the one that you want, folks. So you click on Get Started. And then what it's going to do is it's going to basically want you to sign in. But if you are new to Autodesk, you have to create an account. So you create an account. You click on Create Account. Fusion runs in the cloud. So you need a client software. So you need to get the software onto your computer. What you're looking for is an executable file. If you've got a Windows computer, you run that on your PC and it will set up that when you look at your desktop. This is my desktop, and I've already logged on to Fusion, so there it is. And this little icon there will come out of the process once you have downloaded the client software onto your computer, run the executable file. It'll set this little icon up. When you click on that, it will log you in and connect you to the internet. So what you should see on your screen now, this is the Paramount Marauder vehicle. Some of you who are car fans might have seen this vehicle on a Top Car show. This is a kind of model that's put together more in animation software. So what we're looking at today is more a solid model. Now, solid modeling is modeling that you use in the manufacturing process. So you've got CAD, and then you've got CAM, and then you end up with the CNC file and you can make stuff. So that's what we are looking at today. So let's jump back to my Fusion. This model is actually more like a Meccano model than a scale model. A scale model is a different thing. So you'll see all these perforations. For those of you who grew up with Meccano, you can give me a thumbs up maybe as an indication of whether you grew up with Meccano. But most folks grew up with Lego, which is that system that clips together. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a wonderful feature of Fusion. If I hit the play button, Fusion will show you all the many steps that went into creating this Marauder model. And You'll notice it's a mine-proof vehicle, so it's got these sloping sides to deflect the blast. So once you have your Fusion license, I'd be glad to share this model with you. So Fusion has the ability to work with in teams. So you can work in teams on a design where you grant other people access to your design. So what I do is I share these models with folks, and then obviously I keep my original model separate, but I share the models, and then you can in fact resave the model privately into a folder of your own that other people can't modify it. But the shared model, anybody can make changes to that design and it will update. So it's playing along, and you'll see there's many, many, many steps that went into the creation of this model. So the purpose of today is really just to show you this model as an indication of nice future things to come. This line along the bottom here, each one of these little icons represents an action or something that I did in putting this model together. So this is quite important. So if I rewind the model all the way to the beginning, and then the model will disappear. Now you'll see all of this stuff has turned gray. So if I hit the play button, it'll play at a particular pace. But what I can also do is I can just click through and reveal each step by clicking through. So once you've got your, now notice there, that little eyeball switches things off and on. And I'm using a mouse with a wheel. You will need a mouse with a wheel, so if you don't have some kind of a mouse for $200, you can get yourself a relatively inexpensive mouse. So notice how each time I click on this, it increments forward a little bit. Now that was an important step, because what you're seeing there, I'm just going to enlarge, and you'll notice now this thing you're looking at here is called a sketch, and the sketch is basically the underpinning of a solid model, because the next thing that happens, so you draw the sketch, and then the next thing you do is you extrude a solid. So there's a solid. So if I want to 3D print this piece, this part, I can do that. Now, I'm not going to step all, you'll see there's a new sketch in a different plane. So this is in the Z up and down plane. This is in the X and the Y plane. So this is a three-dimensional model, very much. And so I've added another sketch there, and then I've extruded it into a solid. Now what's interesting about this drawing, I'm just going to do this. So if you click here, you'll see a list of all the projects that well, this is inside of a folder, which is an educational model of a marauder. And then if I go up one level there, like that, you'll see that I've got various other models. So let's have a look, see. Okay, so there's a Jeep educational model. So I'm going to click on that. Here is my Jeep educational model. This Jeep is lying on its side. Well, that was to do with how I actually originally drew it. So let's just flip it over and get it the right way up. And let's do that. And there. Okay, so that's correctly orientated. Now, there we go. So that's a Jeep. Now, let's come back to the Jeep in a bit. So what you'll see here, there's an orbit tool over there. And if I click on the house, it'll reorientate my drawing. You can orientate this model using this cube. So you can look at the left side of the model. Oh, and then there's a perspective tool here. Perspective. So there's an orthographic view, that's like a flat view. And then there's perspective view, which gives you a little bit more of a lively drawing. So that's rather nice. What I would encourage you all to do out there is to design something, anything, something you're passionate about, something you're excited about. I happen to like Jeeps. I think they're awfully cute. I would encourage you all to consider designing something like this. The beauty of this Jeep is it's got very few parts. It's got a short timeline. So if I go like this, and let's have a look at the steps that was involved. So step number one, and you can see it over there, but because the sketches are switched off, it's invisible. So the first step in making this model was to create a chassis member. And remember, little Jeeps and trucks, stuff like that, used to have what's called the H-frame or H-ladder chassis. So there's the chassis, and let's have a look. So there's our sketch. The next step was to extrude that. So if we zoom in a bit, we could switch off the sketch to see that part clearly. The next sketch is for that front part by the engine compartment, or under the bonnet. And we keep on going along, and here comes a wheel. Now let's reorientate this model and do that. And there it is. And then let's just keep going along. You might have some invention in mind, something that serves an actual purpose rather than just purely educational or purely fun. I would encourage you to start designing that. And then if you have something ready, you're welcome to approach me to see if we can't maybe 3D print it for you. Notice with this drawing how this Jeep was basically done as a half a Jeep. The reason for that is to reduce the amount of work. So what you do is you create this half Jeep, and then at some stage you use the mirror function. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to do some more Fusion sessions where I can actually show you more. What you'll notice is if you look here, that is the mirroring step. And if I move the timeline marker to before the mirroring step, you'll see there's half a Jeep. After the mirroring step, there's a complete Jeep. This robot here, some of you already have one of these, and some of you might have something similar, but not completely different. But what happened with this one is I lost these two parts. And this is the part that holds the motor over here. And I lost this part. So what I actually decided to do, and that's to show you how with Fusion 360 and CAD, I came up with a reasonably elegant solution. And for some reason, the light is not favorable here. So I'm going to see if I can move the camera this side. There might be more light on. I think that's a little bit better lit that way. So what I'm trying to do effectively is show you all how we 3D printed a three-dimensional part, because you'll see this part that I lost was actually just another piece of printed circuit board. And so what we did was, I'm just undoing this robot slightly now, just in order to show you the part that we made in Fusion. And so we've got 5 minutes left of meeting time. So I'm just doing this quickly as I can. The interesting thing with 3D printed plastic parts is if you get your sizes right, you can actually screw screws into the plastic, and the screw puts a thread into the plastic as you screw the screw in. Alternatively, you can use a threading tool. But essentially what I wanted to show you was this part here that I quickly designed up. Having trouble finding the camera. There it is. Now you can see that part. So that little part there replaced this missing bit from the circuit board set for this robot. I'm looking for robot primo parts. Okay, so that's robot primo parts, and then this is a primo robot servo bracket. So I've clicked on that, and this is a relatively simple part. There it is, folks. This is more suitable for beginner level. Even maybe this project is a little bit complex. Basically, I started out there with a sketch. If you can't see a sketch, just go in there and have a look. See if you can just click on the eyeball, which makes it visible, invisible. So I did the sketch. The next step was I extruded a solid out of that sketch. So there's the solid that I extruded out. Notice how I'm using now my index finger on the wheel of the mouse. So you need a mouse with a wheel to work with Fusion. Okay, so the next step was, so we created a step in one plane, and then we created, and just remember to switch on, we created a sketch on the top of this, and then we use that sketch to, so you can extrude a 3D solid part out, but you can also push or cut a part away. In other words, you're going into the part. So that's what happened there. And then the next step, and all these sketches have been switched off, the next step was in fact to remove that piece there, which is basically, if you look on the small screen, it's this recess over there. So we basically we adding and removing material. The next thing I did is I added chamfers around the corners and the edges. And the next step is I drew in this sketch here, which was used to create the holes to mount the little servo to the brackets. So the next thing that happened here was we extruded the holes through, and the next step is we added a few more chamfers just to make the part look more professional, and the final step there. So if I switch off the sketches now, you can have a look at the part. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to new design and just play around with Fusion a little bit and show you how easy it is. So what happens is you click on new, and then you'll see these are your X and your Y and your Z planes. If you click on your Z plane, you can basically draw a box. So I've drawn a box, and you can go finish sketch, and there. Okay, I didn't accept it, so let's try that again. Okay, so you click on that plane. You draw a square over there. You click on that, you go finish sketch, and then when you come here, you click on that, and you can basically drag this up, and there you've created your solid.